My name is Mike Gibbiser, and I made a film called Finally Lillian and Dan. It's an awkward little love story for shy people, you know, by shy people, for shy people, sort of about how these two characters stumble over one another, or stumble over themselves to like find one another. I was really interested in the process of making it. I didn't write a script. I had read a lot about a more improvisational style, so the inspiration came from like really wanting to explore that as a style. I wrote a story and not a script, and then we cast the actors and we talked to them separately, or I talked to them separately. And we built the characters up, and then it came time to shoot, and they didn't know the story, so we were just improvising like within the structure. And we shot chronologically, so they were sort of learning things as we went. So it was really about like, you know, focusing the story that we could produce and to do it in this way to see like what happened. So the challenges were definitely keeping it on track. I mean, it was like a runaway train at times that you're trying to like sort of guide. And I couldn't tell anyone like if there were troubles. I couldn't tell anyone the troubles because I couldn't tell them the story because that would ruin the surprise. Uh, so that was a challenge. I think we got better performances out of it. I think it required a level of like devotion and commitment from everyone that was impossible to get around. So that was a definite advantage of it. Well, we very specifically didn't want. We wanted to stay true to the characters so that they weren't going to have this sort of like epiphany and change at some point during the story. We wanted them to remain like true to themselves, so the little victories in the film become very little, but I think that the characters or the actors definitely did succeed. I think we definitely got where we wanted to go by doing it this way. I think they really enjoyed the process, and I really enjoyed the process. So I think it was successful. Yeah. I mean, we made this completely outside of any sort of, well, clearly outside of any studio system, but really outside of any like financing system or anything like that. We made it with a tiny little crew, 3 people with, 3 actors. So completely insular, like completely separated from everything. And it ended up working out. So I guess the best advice would just to be like, try it out and see if it works. Yeah. So far, it's been really good. I mean, terrifying and exciting and everything. I just got in yesterday, and we had the screening last night, and it was great. It looked amazing, like on the 40-foot screen at the Chinese Man Theater. So yeah, I can't complain at all. It's been good. In doing it in shooting the film in this improvisational way, um, I mean, clearly certain advantages came out in that. Um, well, the foremost, like I didn't have to tell the actors to act excited or something like that. There's a scene where in the film where one character sort of arrives at a party that the other character throws, and the major benefit of doing it this way is that we could kind of like play mad scientist a little bit and tell the lead actress that Jason, the lead actor, had the day off, and like so she's thinking in her head obviously that he's not coming, and she's like upset and everything like that, and then we sneak him in around the corner, so when like her face beams in that moment, it wasn't because I told her face it wasn't because I told her that she should be excited. She just was. It came from them as opposed to me having to ask them to do something like that. So it seemed automatically that from the start we were going to get more authentic, performances and things like that. So that was one major advantage. I mean, it was really the challenge was trying to keep it fresh and trying not to repeat takes too much, and remove the camera from the context of the environment so that they weren't distracted by the camera noise or like felt the need to perform for the camera. They were just trying to perform or react to one another. I think I would continue, at least in some form, making films in this improvisational way. I think I really enjoy the way the performances happen, the subtlety of the performances, and things like that. I might write a little bit more next time. I might, try and control things or everything was controlled, but from the outset, have a more focused structure next time. But definitely, I think I would continue in this way. The lucky part was that I was the DP, so I didn't have I didn't have anyone like really angry at me for changing things around. So, in terms of lighting and things like that, we had to like be a little less specific, and that was actually I enjoy that aesthetic more is to light the room as opposed to the actors, and really create a tone and an atmosphere, and then not worry so much about like whether they're hitting their marks or something like that. So again, so that they're not thinking about it. But there was a pretty specific visual plan. It had a lot to do with like color and then like, light and dark and how far we would push the style of the image in any given moment. But luckily, I didn't have to like. Luckily, I could do it, and no one else had to like be waiting around for me to make these decisions. Well, it's played a couple times now, and I've actually been sort of surprised about how polarizing this sort of like innocuous little movie has been. People seem to either really love it and really connect with the characters, or really, really hate it and really hate the characters and really hate us for making the film. And so that's been surprising to me, but it's been nice as well to see like when people are willing to give themselves over to these sort of like these characters you wouldn't normally see, the ones that aren't going to explain themselves verbally and aren't going to like kind of fall into patterns that we find sort of cute and things like that. But when people do connect with them, they seem to connect with them in a very strong way. So it's been really nice to see that happen.